Am I wrong? Fasajibas says. A were to allow my children, 8 and 8, to go to the park alone. Long time lurker, first time poster. Please forgive the length, it was an attempt to be thorough. I 41 male, co-parent twin 8-year-olds. The co-parenting relationship is fraught with years of emergency orders, all of which were efforts to deny my time and none have been upheld. I also have 3 teens, 15, 17, and 19, from a previous marriage. This is only relevant as I have parenting experience. The laws in my, and the twins, state, county, and city are fine with unsupervised 8-year-olds. This isn't a latchkey situation. I had the twins for the summer in my state. I'm house sitting for a friend in an affluent neighborhood. There is a park directly across the street. It is visible from window and stoop. During visitation I work on self-reliance with all of my children. For my 8-year-olds this summer we worked for them to make their own breakfast, taking care of cats, and solo trips to the park. It wasn't all at once, and the park is directly across the street. We went over the route together. The crosswalk, verifying traffic was stopped, and memorizing the house number and my phone number. I accompanied them most days. Eventually I watched from the stoop, or from the table inside with a direct view of the park. Most visits were under an hour, some were longer. I would regularly make sure I had eyes on them, but they were free to come and go. After being with me for a week the twins asked to go to the park and I allowed it. I watched them cross the street and I observed them entering the park, while I read a book from a table facing the park. They were there for less than 2 hours total. They returned from the park more than once, to get water and take breaks. Eventually, I prepared dinner. It took less than 30 minutes to prepare. By the time they returned into the house dinner was on the table and they began to eat. After they had been home for 30 minutes or so I received a call from a sergeant that identified themselves as a member of the local PD. They asked me if I was in the area and if I had my children. I affirmed both things and asked what it was regarding. They said the kid's mother called and claimed the children were abandoned. I explained they were in front of me eating a meal. They said they were going to conduct a wellness check and that I was going to hear from other officers. After the call ended I asked the twins what was going on. They said a woman at the park asked us to call our mom because we were alone at the park. We came home while she called. I did not press, but I informed them that when they are with me, they should call me. I also told them that if they were alone anywhere and someone was asking about their parents they should come home immediately. The police conducted the wellness check which lasted roughly 2 minutes. They observed the twins relaxing at home. An hour later I received an email from the twins' mom stating she called the police because she received a call from a concerned passerby. She said they shouldn't be left alone at the park. I disagreed and continued to allow them to go for the next 3 weeks with 0 incidents. She had a planned overnight, and at the end of it, before scheduled pickup she informed me that they weren't coming, and that she used this incident to get an emergency order to return the twins to her state. I now have to attend an emergency court hearing to answer for her allegations that I was negligent. I've relayed this to a few people, and I'm getting mixed responses from friends. I contend that had the twins' mom been actually concerned about the children's welfare she could have contacted me directly via text, phone, email, or parenting communication app. Instead she called the police immediately and used the courts to once again interfere with my visitation. My lawyer does not seem confident of the court's stance on unsupervised outside playtime. We're thinking that 8-year-olds can play at the park. SHWH 1963 says, if the kids are talking to strangers and giving them info, they are not ready to be at the park alone. This could have turned horribly wrong. Living in Purgatory says, exactly. If he didn't notice the woman being with them long enough to question them and make the phone call, it's unlikely he would have noticed them getting pulled into a car either. Plus, even if he saw something suspicious, I doubt he would have made over there fast enough to stop it. Lil_L_M says, your ex calling the police is understandable. If a woman called me saying my kid was at the park alone, I'd probably call the police too. For one, how would she know where the park is and what you practiced? How would she know they weren't lost? Or perhaps you really abandoned them? It also seems like you don't see eye to eye when it comes to parenting, considering you overruled her without addressing her concerns by letting the kids go to the park alone later anyway. I can stay if it is safe in your area or not. According to you, they were unsupervised for 30 minutes and talked to strangers. This cold gone very badly easily. Anyway, it is up to the court now. I'd try to patch things up with your cooperant. Hella Cloud Shellersky says, I'm older than you, op, my kids are grown, and I remember times when this would have been perfectly fine, at least in small, close neighborhoods. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. I'm sure you love your kids deeply and meant only to instill some independence in them. But in today's climate, they are much too young to be in a park alone for hours. If you want your parental rights upheld, I think you're going to need to say that you understand this cannot happen again. I hope you won't drag this out with your ex. I'm sure your kids must miss you very much. Puzzled_juice_3406 says, I'm sorry, but 8 is too young. For the sheer fact they were talking to this woman and gave her their mother's number, that means they are not ready. Most states are going to tell you 8 is too young to be unsupervised BC. Even in most states that don't have laws referencing a specific age, it's customary for 10 to be the lowest considered a reasonable age for being without adult supervision. If you're already watching them out there anyway, then why not go to the park with them? In a few years, maybe, depending on their individual maturity and how they handle it. But you need to get an attorney to represent you, the laws in your state, and the situation at hand. Miligato says, you are not wrong at all, although I think you need to give your children more instructions on how to handle speaking strangers, and also maybe talk about safety in general. Initiative Sharp 3202 says, I just listened to a child predator talk about how he chose his targets. It wasn't based on anything to do with the kids. It was based on the parents. If there were no parents, score. If the parents looked weak or were distracted, score. If the parents looked intimidating and were engaged, he moved on. You simply don't know who is there watching your kids, jotting down their routine, realizing you're not attentive, etc. We had a similar childhood, always out and about with minimal supervision. I was attacked more than once. You think your kids are safe? They're right there. But the simple truth is this, if anything weird to happen, if they were approached, you would not know by who, and you couldn't get there in time. Ninja Panda 86 says, unfortunately, yes, you are wrong. I know you're well-meaning and I don't think you're a bad dad. Okay. I want to encourage you in that, and I love that you're helping to make them independent. But if they are talking to strangers and can't figure out which parent to call when things go wrong, etc., they're probably not ready to be alone yet. Stay with them a little longer until they get more horse sense. Ask yourself this as well, what's the worst that will happen? If you can't live with the worst, then maybe don't take the risk yet. Good luck. Eurospirit says, I think 8 is a little young for this kind of self-reliance, especially in 2023, and like other commenters said, especially if your kids don't already understand that they shouldn't be giving info to strangers. I wonder how much self-reliance you are teaching them in order to get out of your duties as a parent, tbh. Not sorry 2019 says, how did I know a man posted this? Are you under the mistaken impression, because you are probably perceived as a threat such, that no one goes after you, that your children are in the same position? Why don't you take 5 minutes and Google how many child predators live in a 5-block radius from that nice place you were house sitting in the park? Your state police maintain a list. Am I wrong? Electrical _might _131 says. I asked my roommate GF to wear more clothes. Long story short, I bought an apartment. A friend of mine is renting a room. He got a GF recently. I don't know her well, at all. Little odd things have happened before, but the other day, she walked out his room in a super shared rees with a bra and panties on. When I say sheer I mean I barely noticed she had SMTH on top her underwear. I spoke to my roommate later that day and said I didn't feel comfortable with someone that I barely know walking around the house in their underwear. I thought it was bizarre. He said he would talk to her. Now it's bringing issues on my side. They spoke. She was not happy. He now says he wants to talk to me. For the full context, there is another post on my account with the full details. I posted on THT first and gave a bit of background, so was I wrong for saying something about it? Pangium says, NTA, it should be a common courtesy to fully cover up when a guest at someone's house. OK Reporter 196 says, I feel like you really need to put more the original post up because it gives a lot more insight. I went looking for it into this story. She has an issue with you. I don't know what it is, but she feels threatened by you or something. She talks to your boyfriend but not you. She walks around in sexy lingerie in front of you, but refuses to say hi to you when she sees you. These are super relevant details and I'd be considering not having your friend rent from you anymore if it continues, or at the very least have her not coming over frequently. Fictional Lawn Turt says, it's not cool to have strangers stay overnight anyway, especially weird ones, without asking permission. Clearly you're not okay with it. If roommate won't address it, you can get your landlord involved. Establishment Safe 133 says, she definitely wants to, frick lol. Hole_library 5831 says, you've made 6 posts about this situation on various subswatons, or are you looking for? Malibucat 48 says, NTA, you own the apartment. He just rents a room. You are allowed to set boundaries on who he brings into your home. When you talk to him, let him know your friendship is important, but there are rules in the house. He should be asking her why she feels comfortable being in her underwear with another man she doesn't know. Sure, she wants to be comfortable in a house, but it's not her house and it's not her boyfriend's house. Try not to call her names, but find out why she is doing something that is not normal. And this definitely isn't normal. Liplinaris Essential says, it's unacceptable unless you guys were close like a family, but even then it's still a little weird. You aren't walking around in revealing clothes around her, are you? She probably feels embarrassed not realizing it wasn't okay, and then having been told by her boyfriend hurt her ego a little. I think if you are nice about it and firm, you can then figure out a plan B. All she needs to do is put on a robe or something, right? No big deal. If she is insisting on walking around in revealing clothes after this, something is wrong with her. Colorful Conspiracy says, not wrong at all. She doesn't live there. She can be upset all she wants, and she still doesn't get to just do whatever she wants in someone else's home. I can't even begin to imagine a motive for her behavior. Outlandishness 3703 says, NTA, she may want to walk around half naked, but that doesn't mean that people want to see her half naked. Maintenance No 8442 says, NTA, if you're a guest in the house you should cover up. User 9,372,889 says, so what did your friend say? Personally I'd see if she's happy or not, it's your place. You asked respectfully that she dress more appropriately around the common areas. Nothing wrong with that. Nervous magazine 200 says. You're so not wrong. It's not her apartment. Carmace Midorg says. Try for the nidge. Cervicalc says. Just hit it and move on. Affectionatard 5373 says. She doesn't get to negotiate with you about what you feel comfortable with in your own house. You own the apartment, he rents a room, she isn't even a legal tenant. Frankly, she's lucky you let her stay there at all. I think maybe you need to talk to your friend about limiting her time there. MW240Z says. What is the issue? That she wears sheer clothing and your BF might see it? Is this based on your insecurities with your BF or your body? Is your enter allowed to have his GF over? Yes, then so what? She's not nude. This seems to be a you issue. I feel you are wrong. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.